It's that time again, everybody. I've shown you how to waste your life to become overpowered in multiple Final Fantasy titles, Grandia and Disgaea. Now, let's move on to another series to completely destroy. I'm Primalliquid and welcome to my Atelier Ryza 2. How overpowered can you get before the third set of ruins? One thing I should mention first though is for this video we will be using the DLC areas from the Kirken Island DLC pack because they are broken AF. Before we begin though, let's do a shameless plug because these videos take an insane amount of time to make. So if I could ask you guys to hit that like button and leave a comment down below on what you think is going to be the most overpowered we can get. And while you're down there, head into the description where you can find links to my socials, Discord server, and even my Patreon page for if you want to help pay for my therapies due to these videos, along with some other nifty little things as well. With that said though, time to jump into the grind. Enjoy the fights in the opening cutscene and then cry, because even though Ryza was essentially a god in the first game, she's somehow forgot everything, and so we have to start from scratch again. It's fine though, we're going to be gods again pretty soon. So proceed through all the tutorials and starting quests in the city along with the alchemy tutorial. After which we pretty much get proper control of Ryza and can begin the process to godhood. And like any trip to become a deity, it involves lots and lots of trash collecting. Yep. Pick up everything you can while going through the start of the story and doing the first dungeon, returning to the Atelier when you are full. I know these items are pure trash, but we need a huge amount of filler items later, so this is going to help for that. Also, don't spend SP needlessly. During the start, the only thing you want to unlock is neutralizers, the bomb, and finally the explosive uni. Don't spend any more SP after these. Now, after your first trip to the first ruin, you have to make some bombs to pay your rent with. Ryza becomes a mummy to a little floating dragon fairy who is quite simply too goddamn cute for his own good, and we unlock fast travel, thank god. Oh, and if you do actually have the Kirken Island DLC, you would have unlocked it right after coming back from the ruins. We're not doing it until later though. Instead, complete all the requests available at the cafe, which you don't have to go out of your way for. This is just for some easy SP boosting and an extra little money for later. For now, rush through the second set of ruins, the Maiden's Catacombs, and unlock every fragment. Doing this will give you nearly 3000 SP and unlock a few extra things on the skill tree. Although you do need to unlock the Ingots tab for 250 SP so you can make the Living Bell fragment. Upon defeating the boss in this area, you gain a whistle to summon a monster to ride, and it drops a mythical hide item. Whatever you do, do not use this hide for anything. Also, ride the mount around the last area here, digging at the glowing spot for an Arknite material. Once that's done, it's time we really kick things off. Complete the exploration note for the Maiden's Catacombs to gain all your lovely SP and to unlock a few more recipes for us. Now it's time to casually unlock everything on the skill tree that we can. And to do this, we're going to farm SP like champs. First, open up the skill tree and unlock the recipe morph, gem reduction, and then the 500 SP and both 800 SP rebuild level increase nodes. Now, go into item rebuild and select pretty much any item, it doesn't matter. Then dump it full of useless items to earn a boatload of SP each time. If you run out of gems, simply convert your useless materials into them. If you want to be really cheap, then make a blue neutralizer, duplicate it a bunch of times, and then rebuild it using water, which you can gather right outside your atelier. Since it's an infinite supply there, once you have everything unlocked, or near everything, it's time to make the new gathering tools, such as an axe, sickle, fishing rod, bomb rod, and bug net. Also, while doing this, make sure to keep sending the pony out whenever available as well. If you're struggling to find certain types of items to make these with, like the fossil tree for example, you can find this item in either the second area of the Sweet River Zone, but you do need the DLC in order to access this area, or you need to level the pony up quite high. Just a note though, if you do want to use the DLC area, you need an axe that is capable of gathering 2-star items. Anywho, once you have all the gathering items and are able to gather tier 2 items from all of them, it's now time to loop through every single area, picking up all new items. This means all normal areas and all DLC areas. Just beware, you can't fast travel in the DLC zones, and even though there's only a handful of selections on the board, you can still manually change zones in these areas to reach a massive amount of new areas. While doing this, keep doing all the events in the capital and doing the request board. We need a huge amount of gold coins coming soon. The next step is also rather simple. Craft everything you can and unlock all of the available recipes. Don't worry about the stuff we can't get there now, as we'll be getting it later. One of the things to focus on though is the spirit whistle. Make sure you make this with mining owl and summon size owl to make life easier. At this point, you'll probably unlock the airdrop. Feel free to make it so you can explore underwater and get to the Flower Patch Cape via the Skirm Marsh. And of course, loot all new items here. Now, run through all the non-DLC areas on the Summoned Mount, digging at all spots. Do this 2 to 3 times per area to make sure you get all of the items available, as some can be rare. Now, double check your synthesis list to make sure you have one of every item available made. Then, go to all the stores in the capital and make sure you have at least one of every item. By this point, you should also have at least 30 gold coins. So go ahead and buy the Eternal Fire, Shining Sand, Soul Flower, Eternal Crystal, Millennial Tree, and Refueling Essence from Romy. Now comes the fun part. Go into development with Romy and go through your entire list of items, giving Romy one of every item which unlocks an effect. For example, the extra stock or new items available, you can tell which items do what down in the bottom right of the screen. Some of the more important ones are Amber Crystal, which lets you buy Goldenite, Eternal Fire, which lets you buy Saint's Diamond, Silver Beehive, which lets you buy Honey Ball, Ancient Beehive, which lets you buy Queen Spiderweb, Millennial Tree, which lets you buy Holy Arbor Crystal, Mythical Hide, which lets you buy Master Leather, Beast Fossil, which lets you buy Water Beast Fossil, Round Tablet, so you can buy Star Fragment, Giant Pony Ball, so you can buy Pony Level, and the Dragonite, which lets you buy Dread Leather. Once you have done that, go back to the Atelier and rest for 1 day. Then go around the shops buying all those new items you just unlocked and return to Romy and sell them to unlock even more. This time, the big ones are Goldenite, Star Fragment, Holy Arbor Crystal, which in turn will allow you to buy the Goldatarian, Waking Emerald, and Angel Silk. Now that we have all these new items, let's go back to synthesize and make our final axe, which will let us gather tier 3 items. You will, however, have to buy a few Goldatarian ingots from Dennis to make this though. You can also make the final bug catching net as well by buying Queen Spider webs. Now we have to make the final sickle, fishing rod, and bomb rod, so we need more items first. But since we have 2 new gathering tools, it's time to go back around every single area, hitting any new materials available. The only downside here is we can't actually get the Holy Arbor branch. normally until very late game areas. There is a way around this though, the Puni. We can get it from him, but we need to level him up, and sadly he can't overtake Ryza in levels, which means we also need to level Ryza up. We'll do this later though, because the best way of leveling is to fight strong enemies, but that's slow with our current gear and traits. Before we start brute forcing things though, go through your synthesis list and make all the new recipes. Use the guidebook to locate any materials you need which you don't have anymore. At this point though, you can unlock almost everything. Next, make a good, strong Luft item with all abilities maxed out, then set the difficulty to hard mode and go to the Flower Patch Cape and fight Black Punies for coal and EXP. On hard, you'll also earn core shards from these monsters in a decent amount. Use these to upgrade Ryza's core abilities so she can start fights with CC and also increase her wind element core as well. Now, if you have the DLC, go to the Heatwave Gate area instead and fight the Punies here. Once you have a decent chunk of money, go back to your synthesis and make all your main ingredients perfectly and lock them so you don't accidentally lose them in the next step. Because now we're going to make some gear at last. It's only temporary gear though, basically to get us to level 99. So start synthesizing on the cloth item and work your way through the recipes using effect spread whenever possible to save item uses which we can benefit from later. Now your armor here is going to be very massively depending on quite a few things. Typically though, you want to aim for Mimicry Robe with between 100 to 200 for stats. Then we're going to reforge it with Dennis using a giant claw to gain the hard shell effect, which reduces damage further and gives us a little more attack and speed stat. Now, simply duplicate it for each party member. Then it's the same for weapons. This follows the same principle as the armor. We're going to start on the lowest tier weapon, get as high as we can, and then use all the remaining quantity on ingots for more stats. As for accessories, we're going to use the Nade Ring, which starts from a polished powder. Again, dump it full of ingots for stats. Now, as for the final accessory, sadly there's not many good options we can use at this point, so we're stuck with a Samastern necklace for now. Although the stats will be low, at least the effects will be good. I'm also not really bothering with traits here currently, so in the end you'll end up with stats around these. Now, straight off the bat, this is more than strong enough to complete the game on hard mode. But this wouldn't be an overpowered video if we stopped here. Now it's time to really ramp things up in typical overpowered fashion. Make sure to lock all your main synthesis items and then go to Romy and sell off everything you own. And yes, I am serious. If we want to get the best traits, we only have two options this early. The Puni, which is terribly random, or buying items from shops, and guess which way we're going to do it. After selling off everything you own, you should be about halfway there on most things. So now we're going to grind up to level 99 while maxing out Romy's shop. And to do this, simply run around the highest level areas you have and gather everything while fighting everything. Now, this is a very, very slow process, and in fact, without the DLC for the castle area, it's about 30 times slower using non-DLC areas to level. But hey, nobody ever said my Overpowered series was efficient or worthwhile, right? The main reason we want to level up is because of the Puni. With us being so early in the game, this means we actually don't have access to the truly late game materials like Rainbow Gemstone, Ether Core, Septrine, etc. Well, here's the thing, the Puni can bring back all these items depending on its rank and transformation. We can brute force both with a high level pony, which means we can target the Shining Pony and Abyss Pony for the above mentioned items. Now, I'm not going to list all the item combinations and what items come from what pony, because if I did, this video would be 9 hours long. So instead, down in the description is a link to a Google Doc with all the information about the pony. Anywho, for now, purchase items with the Attack Charge ++, Skill Charge ++, Skill Charge +, Attack and Defense Charge, Attack and Speed Charge, Defense and Speed Charge, then do the trait loop using Neutralizer, Zettel, and Water Orb to create a Neutralizer with Attack Charge ++, Skill Charge ++, and Skill Charge +. Then use this Neutralizer to create a perfect ingot and Lockheed. We'll use this for our weapons later. Next, do the same loop, only this time for the traits we want Speed Charge ++, Defense and Speed Charge, and Regal Air. Then again, put it into an ingot, ideally the Grand Organ. And finally, do one more loop, this time for traits. Go for Attack and Defense Charge, Defense and Speed Charge, and Infinite Vigor. Then make a Whisk Cloth with those traits. Okay, we now have a cloth for our armors and ingots for our weapons and accessories. Now it's time to make them, and we're going to do this the exact same way we did earlier, by starting from the very first weapon and working our way up. The only difference is now we can go all the way to the final weapon, and we have plenty of items with high element values, words are hard guys, okay, and effect spread on things like Archean Seal. Just a shame we can't get Essence unlocked until after the 3rd Ruin though. Likewise, a shame we're missing so many quantity upgrades. Still, the final result is going to be pretty damn strong. Just remember to rebuild it for all the other effects, and then go to Dennis's workshop and rebuild it there as well with a giant claw to give it the effect of great sharpness, which increases critical damage. For accessories, we're going to use an elixir ring, which starts off from a polishing powder, and a glory belt, which starts from an ingot. There is one better accessory called the Four Spirits Amulet, but we can't make the best attacking items at this point, so we're not going to use that. As for armors, I chose the Layered Velvet, which starts from a cloth. The end results? Ta-da! This is going to vary a lot depending on the materials you get from the pony and how perfect you try and aim for. But ultimately, you end up with gear that isn't quite on the level of perfect, but we're so strong now I can't even describe it. In fact, there is nothing in the game, even on hard mode, which stands a chance against us now. If you want any form of challenge after making this gear, you need to complete the game and unlock the charismatic and legendary difficulties. But even then, pretty much only the optional super boss will be able to do anything to you. And in order to show this overpoweredness off, I'm going to advance slightly further into the game to unlock the Weasel Roast, so we can see just how nuts it really is. And all it took, a casual 220 plus hours. The hardest and longest part was pretty obviously the leveling, so we can abuse the pony to bring back endgame materials, since at this point we don't have access to seeds. Combine that with the sheer horror of gem farming. Because of my rules, I can't even enter the 3rd Ruins, which has an insanely good gem farming spot as well. But of course, like all my overpowered videos, they are nothing if not consistent in the fact you should never ever do this. By simply playing the game normally and unlocking all the areas and skill tree nodes, you can get better gear and better items in a fraction of the time. So if you value your sanity, please don't do this. Still though everybody, that's going to be the end for this video, and I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, then please be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment down below letting me know I'm insane. And of course, if you aren't already, then make sure to subscribe as we're quickly approaching the 100k mark, so join the grind. And of course, be sure to check the description, which is full of awesome links like my socials and Discord server, which you should 100% join. And there's also my Amazon affiliate link and Patreon page if you want to help support me. With all that said though everybody, thanks for watching, and I will see you all soon.